Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samar News. Here are today's headlines.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif says full efforts are underway to resolve remaining issues following talks between the United States and Iran in Islamabad. Addressing the federal cabinet, he said the ceasefire still holds and described the negotiations as a historic moment. The Prime Minister confirmed the two sides held direct, face-to-face talks for over 20 hours, adding that Pakistan's efforts helped bring both parties to the table and sustain the truce.
Iran has revealed that a potential breakthrough agreement with the United States was just steps away during high-level talks in Islamabad. Foreign Minister Abbas Araqchi said his country engaged in negotiations with the United States in good faith to bring an end to the ongoing war, and they had come just inches away from finalizing the Islamabad MoU. Despite the progress, Araqchi said the negotiations ultimately broke down due to what he described as excessive conditions and changing positions from the other side. In a post on X, he said the process encountered maximalism, shifting goalposts, and blockade, which prevented the agreement from being reached. Iran's leadership has sharpened its response to escalating tensions with the United States, urging Washington to change course. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian said the United States must abandon its hardline policies if it wants to reach a meaningful agreement. In a message shared on social media, he wrote that if the American government abandons its totalitarianism and respects the rights of the Iranian nation, ways to reach an agreement will certainly be found.
President Donald Trump says Iran is seeking a deal and has reached out to resume negotiations, but insists that any agreement will not allow Tehran to have a nuclear weapon. Speaking at the White House, he said talks have hit a roadblock over nuclear issues, even as a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz is now underway. However, he made it clear that Iran could not be allowed to blackmail or extort the world. Trump also said that the United States might turn its attention to Cuba once tensions with Iran are addressed. The remarks come after Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel called for dialogue with Washington without preconditions. President Donald Trump has warned that Iranian ships approaching the U.S. blockade will be eliminated. In a social media post, he said vessels coming near the blockade of Iranian ports would face immediate action. The warning marks a further escalation in naval tensions as risks rise around the Strait of Hormuz.
The United Kingdom has decided not to participate in a US-led military blockade of Iran through the Strait of Hormuz, distancing itself from escalating tensions in the region following failed peace talks. The UK government has made it clear that British naval ships and soldiers will not be used to block Iranian ports. A government spokesperson said Britain would instead continue to support freedom of navigation and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, stressing its importance for the global economy and domestic cost of living. The UK will, however, maintain its existing military presence in the region.
On the other hand, Iran's Revolutionary Guards say no port in the Gulf or the Sea of Oman will be safe if Iranian port security is threatened. In a televised statement, a spokesperson said Tehran would maintain control of the Strait of Hormuz and restrict passage to vessels linked to what it calls enemy forces. Meanwhile, maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has come to a halt after President Donald Trump announced a U.S. naval blockade. Shipping data shows vessels turning back, with movement stopping soon after talks between Washington and Tehran ended without a deal. Experts say the strait is now under dual pressure from both U.S. and Iranian controls, raising the risk of confrontation and disrupting global energy flows.
Oil prices have jumped above $100 a barrel as the US Navy prepared to block ships from reaching Iran via the Strait of Hormuz. Brent crude futures rose $6.71, or 7.05% to $101.91 a barrel after settling 0.75% lower on Friday. US West Texas Intermediate was at $104.16 a barrel, up $7.59, or 7.86%, following a 1.33% loss in the previous session. Benjamin Netanyahu, speaking at a cabinet meeting, says he held talks with US Vice President J.D. Vance regarding ongoing Iran negotiations. He added that Washington, under Donald Trump, is focused on ending Iran's enrichment program for years to come. Netanyahu said Israel fully supports the US position, including reported moves toward a naval blockade following Iran's violations. He stressed close US-Israel coordination and warned that the current ceasefire with Iran could collapse quickly.
Meanwhile, Israeli military operations in southern Lebanon were visible from across the border as cross-border fire with Hezbollah continued. Warplanes released flares overhead, while ground forces, including armored vehicles and bulldozers, operated inside Lebanese territory. The fresh attacks prompted Hezbollah chief Naim Qassem to call on Lebanon's government to cancel planned talks with Israel in Washington, saying they are pointless. In a televised address, he said the group would continue confronting Israeli attacks on Lebanon. Lebanon's foreign minister says the meeting will go ahead, with Beirut aiming to press for a ceasefire despite growing opposition.
Hakan Fidan has accused Israel of constantly seeking new adversaries, saying the country cannot live without an enemy. In a televised interview, Fidan stated that after Iran, Israel is now attempting to portray Turkey as its next enemy. He further claimed that this approach is not limited to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government, but is also echoed by some opposition figures. According to Fidan, this shift reflects what he described as a growing state strategy within Israel to redefine its regional stance. US President Donald Trump has attacked Pope Leo following the pontiff's criticism of his foreign and immigration policies. Trump wrote in a post on Truth Social that Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. He also said that Leo should get his act together as Pope, later telling reporters he was not a big fan of the pontiff. Trump's broadside against Leo also accused him of being weak on nuclear weapons, several days after the Pope said the US president's threat to destroy Iranian civilization was truly unacceptable. Australia has said that a woman will lead its army for the first time in history as part of a reshuffle of the country's Defence Force leadership. The government said in a statement that Lieutenant General Susan Coyle, the current Chief of Joint Capabilities, will become Chief of Army in July. She will replace Lieutenant General Simon Stewart. Defence Minister Richard Marles called Coyle's appointment a deeply historic moment. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samar.tv. Thank you for watching Samar News.